And I'm here on Game Changers with Vicki.
With me, with Vicki Abelson. Hi out there in Facebook land. I don't know if we're on. We're going to see. Christinna, are we on?
We're on.
Did Amy start too soon? Did you get her Amy Aquino?
I think we should do it again.
We should do it again. Say who you are. No, because it wasn't live yet. She has to give you the thing. Because it's Facebook.
Okay.
But it's Amy Aquino.
Okay.
She can do what she wants.
No, she can do whatever she wants. We're already
And so
live.
you want me to say, okay.
No, because we're here. We're on. We're talking with the people. This is what happens when you go live. There they are. So we're looking at the shot now, which is frozen, so we can't tell what's happening with the shot. So we're going to set the shot up nice for you, so that when you see us, we look all lovely and beautiful, and it's just buffering because it's trying to annoy the crap. And Jackson, Amy, I think you're going to have Jackson come in. I don't think there's any getting away from Jackson. Hi, Jackson.
Hi, Bunny.
All right. So Amy's gone now. I do have a guest tonight. Here she is.
No, I'm still there.
See, no, it's okay, but so the shot is pretty good, but I don't like when I'm looking down at the thing. So I'm gonna look at you. And hi, Amy. Thanks for doing this.
It's my pleasure.
So I was saying on the promo that when I saw Amy recently, I like jumped her because I spent literally, I did not get out of my bed. I'd been hearing about Bosch for forever, and you know how it is when you're binging you're binging shows and you pick and you choose. And so I finally got to Bosch and I watched 2 episodes. And then I didn't get out of bed.
Then you were done.
Then I did not get out of bed. So 4 seasons. So no, I watched 3 seasons. Boom, 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 boom. And then, just when I finished the 3rd season, the 4th season dropped, and I was like, "Oh God,
no
what?"
sleep for you.
So this was just the best. And so in this man's world, we're going to talk about Bosch a lot. We're going to go back first, but in this man's world, you are Bosch's wife, I guess, was, and his daughter.
Yeah,
there was.
I
don't want to say to her.
Okay.
Yeah, but you're still there.
Yep.
But not only are you, but you really are the woman in the man's world because you are in that world, and you're the only woman in that world.
Yep.
I'm
the only woman who's actually in law enforcement on a regular basis where I've come back every season. My neighbor's dog is visiting,
and Jackson's having a very wild.
He's really trying to get at all the things he loves. I may have to kick him out, but
no, we're fine.
Okay.
Hi, Michael. Is the light switch bothering you? Michael Murata is a designer. He's an actor, director, and he's also a designer. Michael, is the light switch? Tell me if the light switch to the side of Amy is driving you crazy, because then I'll have Christinna adjust the shot. So you're the only woman in law enforcement there.
Yeah, we've had other women in law enforcement, but they've been bad guys. They've been dirty cops. And then we've had some pop in and out, but I'm the only one who's been consistently through the season, through all 4 seasons.
The seasons, right? Yeah. And what's also fabulous about your character, I don't know if you're having influence in this or they just allow it, but you're not a bitch. It's very unusual for a woman to be in a position of authority on TV. You're not a bitch. You're not controlling.
Yeah.
You're not inept. You are all these wonderful things.
It's the reason I wanted, frankly, to do the show, because
you knew that going in.
Yeah, because I've done a whole lot of those characters, and I said at the time when I auditioned, I've done a lot of those who are like, God damn it, Bosch, you're gonna be sorry, don't you dare. And I just didn't need to do that again. Procedurals are not necessarily, and murder dramas are not necessarily my favorite item. I just don't like to deal with murder, and God bless the people who do. Very, very vicious.
Yeah, there you go, the vicious dog.
But what I loved about this, that Eric Overmeyer was writing it, and so I knew he would be very careful. He was a Broadway playwright, actually, and he's had a lot of big things. And then he was on Homicide, he was on Wire, and he's done really, really fun things.
Dom Lombardozzi, I can't say his name, but he's from The Wire. He's fabulous.
Oh yeah, and we've got 2, well actually Jamie Hector and Lance Reddick on our show. They're both from The Wire. So and it's Michael Connelly, and what he's written, he doesn't write these stock characters. He writes all very complicated characters, And
I love that about it.
Yeah,
and all the characters are.
Yeah, very complicated, flawed. They each have their moments
Bosch is
so flawed.
flawed.
I mean, he really is. And he gets away with things that no detective would ever get away with.
Yes. Although he's gotten busted.
Every now and again, but he always seems. But
show.
he gets in trouble, but he always gets through.
He does.
But what's the key thing that makes the difference for this character and my relationship with Bosch is that we're friends. That we came up through the system together. That are we were there when each other's daughters were born.
And I love that too. And I love the fact that the daughter has this relationship with you. And I also love that he respects you. Yeah. And that's also something we don't see very much.
Right. So as much as he wants to, and I understand him. I know that in his heart he's going to do the right thing, even though if he does it in the wrong way. So I can trust him on that. And he also knows that he can't go so far that he's going to completely ruin my life or my career. Right. Because we're friends. So that made all the difference in the world. Yeah. Because I'm not just his boss. If I were just his boss, then I would be just, if I was just his boss and I wasn't his friend, he would just be infuriating to me and I would, want him out of there. But he's not. He's my friend. Come up together. I went into the administrative end and he stuck with being a detective because that's what he wanted to, that's where his passion is and that's all that drives him.
And for anybody, if there's anybody out there that hasn't binged Bosch yet, I just cannot recommend it highly enough. And this last season, it killed me. I gotta say, it was devastating.
I heard from so many people that when they got to that key moment with his wife, which I won't talk about, I mean, wow.
It was shocking and it was devastating. It was personal. I took it personally. Yeah. It was rough.
And it just kind of, it comes out of nowhere. I mean, it's not a spoiler alert if you say it in a way because it just comes out of nowhere. Yeah. No matter what, even if you're expecting it, you're not expecting it. It's not going to happen. And she's a friend. Sarah's I've known her for a long time, and she's a fabulous actress. And we get great people. This season has been wonderful.
My friend Chris Browning is joining you guys this
season. Loveliest
he's
guy.
He's such a doll, and he's doing moving through the years. He showed me his pictures rocked out from 20 years ago and stuff. Very fun.
Yeah, this season will be interesting that way because you see. You see
Bosch, obviously.
Yeah, because what they are. Well, they're doing flashbacks to when this original crime was committed. Okay. Because they're.
So how are they doing that to him, to Bosch? How's he aging?
It's so interesting.
Does it
not aging? No, they're going back. They're going back.
I mean, but how do they young him?
Well, his hair is white now, and so they give him. You give him the brown hair, and it works. It's not as hard, I think, for men especially, and because he's right there. I mean, it's right in that middle because he's not going back to when he's baby faced. Right. He's not that old. He's in his 50s. Right. Yeah, so I love it. It's going to be a really interesting season. Lots of very interesting storylines, and that
And so, do you have to wait until this season starts airing before you find out if you get another? Is that how it works?
Well, Amazon has been pretty amazing about it. Unlike other shows, they've given us earlier pickups in the past. So we're going to see. We had a pickup last year. They told us by, they didn't have to tell us till March, and they told us at New Year's, basically.
Nice.
Before that, it was
and
really
so
nice.
When is this season going to air? Because I'm waiting.
I don't know. They don't tell me. I mean, it's just going to be, we're still shooting. So we'll be shooting through just after Thanksgiving. And then, but they're, in the process of doing the posts, et cetera, as we go. But it'll probably be, in that March, April range. But don't quote me because Amazon gets really upset if I say something and I don't know for sure.
Okay, so we won't hold you to it. But
no, I'm assuming it's going to be in the spring because that's what they've been doing every year. Yeah. I just noticed recently that their newest show, the Romanovs, they're actually releasing like a standard network television show. They're doing one a week.
Which was what they intended to do to begin with. That really annoyed me because they did that with The Handmaid's Tale. What? Because, that really annoys me because my daughter and I binged The Handmaid's Tale over the summer. So we had what, one season or 2 seasons? I can't remember how many they've done. So I think they've done 2 total. So we binged the first one. And then they rolled out the second one.
And it was
we had to wait.
An entire week. You know what? Up until it's kind of like people get on a plane. So this was said. You know, this was like a couple years ago.
Yeah.
You get on a plane and like, this Wi-Fi is so slow. Hello! Like a month ago, you could not be having a conversation with the office. And now you're complaining that it's too slow?
It's mind-blowing. It's absolutely... And like, I've watched shows... I've watched shows like Shameless in real time for years, right?
We kind of... you know, we were huge... We were early adopters of TiVo, and we loved it. And I liked... You know, with TiVo, it's kind of the best of both worlds because it would save them up for you. So if you were not around, but I like to be able to go, oh, cool, we have a New Americans. We can watch them. Yay, there's another This Is Us.
It's true. Yes, and This Is Us. And last night, Wendy Wendy Alec, that's all I'm telling you.
Oh, okay.
Wendy's on. Yeah.
Good.
And so I saw her on Sunday. And so, yes, people confuse you, don't they?
We've been up for the same things a lot. She would always get them if they paid more. But I got my revenge one time because I was doing a play at here in Los Angeles, and I got a movie, and this is when the writer's strike was happening.
Right.
They were expecting the writer's strike, so they were shooting everything at once, so they kind of got down to me. So I had to leave the play early, and she came in and she replaced me for the last week. I love it.
I had no idea that you guys are up for the same roles. I just know that there's a certain something about the two of you. There's a something.
Yeah.
So
I mean, she's so much prettier, but
stop!
But she's fabulous. We spent
a
a summer at the Sundance Directors Lab once.
Nice.
She's just the best.
Yeah, she's pretty fabulous, and she's pretty fabulous on This Is Us. That's all I want to tell you about it. It's pretty fabulous.
So she got that.
See, now that's a show that. I watched it at 1 a.m. I couldn't go to sleep. I knew there was a new one. I couldn't go to sleep. I had to watch it.
I know. It's bad. I mean, I did another play. I've done plays now for 3 out of my 4 hiatuses, and
this is so fun. So tell us about that. So
that's where I started. I started in the theater.
So let's do that. So you grew up where?
Outside of Philadelphia.
Okay, and so at what point you're doing school plays starting as a little kid?
I was doing school plays. Yeah, starting as a little kid.
Okay. And do you have the bug like right away?
I love it. Yeah, I mean,
what was the first thing you wanted to be when you grew up? When you were little, do you remember?
When I was little, I didn't.
You know, when you're like, okay, we're gonna play. I don't know. What did we used to play? We used to play.
I was always creative, and but I didn't have bug. It wasn't like, yes, I have to be an actress. I just did when I was in high school. I'm junior high school. We did. We did. This dog.
Jackson's losing his mind.
He's great. We did a production of Sweet Charity. Yes, and they managed. I can sing okay, but they managed to find like the only 5 virgins in the school to play the hookers. And Lisa Scottolini.
Do you still know? Is she on Facebook?
Well, she better be. She's like one of the. Do you familiar with her? Oh, she's like Michael Connelly. She's one of the foremost crime writers in America. She's just an amazing writer. But she played our charity, and she was just great. She was a doll. Hey, Lisa. But. So I did that in junior high school, but I didn't do a ton of musicals. Well, I did a few. I wasn't a singer. I could sell a song, but I just started doing lots of plays, and then, my friends and we started a comedy group together, and we wrote our own material, wrote our own sketches.
Were you doing sketch comedy? Mm-hmm.
Sketch comedy, yeah. Mm-hmm. We write them, and we performed at school. We had a whole, what they call it, assembly, just to feature one-man show. With my friends David Garfield, Matt Callahan, Mark Stivers.
I love the shout-outs. Are they all on Facebook?
Oh, they better be.
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay.
And we called it one-man show, even though it was 4 men and a woman. And Tim, Chris Cornell. Oh my God.
So you called it one-man show, and there were 5 of you.
There were 5 of us and 1 woman.
I love
it. It was
that.
1 woman.
Okay.
Puppy. You can't have the cheese bunny.
You're gonna have to show Jackson because it's not fair.
Jackson,
come here.
Come here.
Because everybody's
shown
getting
him
teased.
twice.
We have shown him.
Oh, he kept
He was?
the shot. Yeah.
All right. as long as you've seen Jackson, it's important.
Very adorable. It's my neighbors up the street. We lost our dog, our magnificent Lucy, about a little less than a year ago, and so I've been like stealing other people's dogs, and Jax lives up the street.
I wasn't in this house 30 seconds. Oh, before we move on, since we're taking a little Jackson break anyway, I want to give a shout out to Rick Smolke, who, this man, is a man who totally supports women. And when I started Women Who Write 10 years ago, he jumped in and he said, "What can I do for you?" And so when Mackenzie Phillips came to read for us, she made us cry, and people said he should make us tissue boxes. So I'm going to leave this for you. So he made us tissue boxes, right? And then he's done my bookmarks, and he's done my business cards.
Are you kidding?
He is so phenomenal. And there was a time for about 3 years where every single month when we met, he gave swag to the women. So he would give us pads, calendars, everything. And he's the one that's doing the thing for the veterans, which is what I had you do the PSA.
Brilliant.
And he's given like 6 figures of his own money to the veterans. I mean, he's a very philanthropic. So if you need anything printed out there, Rick Smolke of Quik Impressions, he's like the best human being. Good, because he's going to not charge you anything, because he loves women and artists. And he's just great, and he'll give you an incredible deal too. And then I want to give a shout out to my hairdresser, who, I'm sorry, Nicole, I didn't get height today. It's not good today.
You have height. She and I both worry about our height.
But Nicole is the best. I mean, I have to say, my call, I just love her. And what I love most about Nicole is that her hairspray is called Fuck Off. And she's my kind of girl. And she's really not that kind. She never curses. She's not like me, but she's fabulous. And her salon is called the Ruby Begonia Salon in Fuck Off, and you can get it at friendsbeautysupply.com.
Okay.
And she has all kinds of products. She's fabulous. So anyway, I wanted to do that. So
and by the way, your friend Rick, who's his?
Rick Smolke at Quik Impressions in Chicago.
Oh, okay.
Fantastic.
Okay.
But they'll ship anywhere, and they're fantastic.
Okay.
And if you need anything for a charitable cause or anything philanthropic, he's there, he's on it.
Great.
Or anything personal.
Okay,
So we'll do that. And I'm trying to figure out how to do this. Penny's Pug is there.
Hi,
Penny. Penny's Pug, and hi, Lauren. And who else are we saying hello to? Greg. Tara, hi. We're saying hi to Jimmy. Shelley Cole, married to Michael Cole. The Mod Squad. Come on, you had to be into that, right?
I was too busy. I was playing, I first learned the flute, and then when I got into junior high and there were too many flautists, it was just too competitive. Our teacher, whom I adored, Leonard Murphy, hi, Mr. Murphy, he played the bassoon, and we needed a bassoon, so I learned the bassoon.
Stop it! I got moved to clarinet. I was on clarinet with Mr. G.
Mr. G.
Mr. G was our teacher. Leonard Fusco. Hi, Bruce Tenenbaum, my friends from junior high.
Where was it?
In the Bronx.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
okay. So I was doing that. I was doing school.
How did you carry that? How did you?
I still have it. Well, you can do it. I mean, I'm a big girl. That was not a problem. But I was doing that. I was doing schoolwork. I was doing theater.
Were you good in school?
I was super good in school, like crazy. I was I was an overachiever, so I was not watching a lot of TV. So I was in school all day, and then I'd go straight to rehearsal. I'd get home at 6 o'clock. I was not helping with dinner. My sister, God bless her, thank you, Janet or Dell or my mom, if she was back from shopping and stuff in time, there would be dinner, eat dinner, help a little bit, then I go do homework until 1 o'clock in the morning, and then get up at 6 and do it all over again. So I was not watching a whole lot of TV.
All right, I'm very impressed. So now, were your parents supportive? Were they pushy? I mean,
my parents were like just standing watching, going, oh my God. And my mother and I sometimes our biggest fights were, she'd say, why are you going to school? You're too tired. Just stay home. And I'd say, I can't stay home. I've got
Wow.
And she'd say, well, if you were sick, you would be staying home. And I'd say, yeah, but I'm not sick.
Wow.
Yeah. No, they were just kind of, I was born very late in their lives. We were, my sister Jen and I were the surprise kids, gift of the Pope.
Well, are there others that were first?
Yeah. No, my parents, so interesting.
How many siblings?
There are 5 of us all together. I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters. Mm-hmm. My parents were married in 1937, and
you were a late surprise.
Yeah. But I'm older than I seem as well, conceivably. But
I'm older than you, so stop this now.
No, I'm just saying in terms of age.
Yes.
but my parents' age. But my mother's this is Italian Catholic.
Were
Brooklyn.
were they
Here?
from
They were born. They were born here.
Okay.
My mom's father was born in Italy. Her mother was born here. My father's father was born in Italy, and his mother was Jewish and born here. And she ran off.
So
with
your
him.
father is Jewish,
Not raised Jewish,
but
because
right,
when
but
they
by
Jewish
the laws of
But in as much as her family sat shiva for her,
Oh.
and never hadn't said another word to her, and she was 16 years old, and went on to have 12 children on the kitchen table. And she was
My grandmother had 12 children too.
Yeah, but she didn't have anybody to help her.
Oh,
Because her
gosh.
husband's, he had immigrated, he didn't have family here,
Oh.
and the Jewish community didn't accept them, the Italian community didn't accept them. It was a very rough life for her.
Wow.
But my point is that my mother's mom, this is 1937, Italian Catholics, my mother's mom brought her to Margaret Sanger's clinic to get fitted up for contraception in 1937.
Are you kidding
And
me?
I am not. And my parents, so they
Catholics?
yeah, they kept company. My parents kept company for 2.5 years because
Kept company. I love
that's
it.
what they call it, and that's what we always called it, because my mom liked the fact that Drew and I kept company for 2.5 years before we got married too. But my dad's parents, because he had 11 siblings and he was the third, they didn't want to get married because they needed, the older kids were all helping support the family.
Right.
So they put it off as long as they could, and what they did is they kind of socked some money away, and they saved up, and they put money down on their furniture, and they figured it all out and planned it. And then his sister Tess lent them her car, and they snuck off. But Tess and my mother's mom knew, because she was the one who would help her get the contraception. And Tess
Jackson's
knew.
got a squeeze toy now.
Yeah, squeeze toys are not good. Why don't we give him something else? There's so many other toys to play with.
All right.
No, just take it
Yeah,
away from him.
Rip it out of his.
Just
Rip
take it
it
away.
out of his mouth.
Just grab it.
All right, I'm looking what's going on here. John Green. Hi, Hi, Lynn.
Hey.
Lynn Stewart. You know her. Betsy Brogman. Hi. Okay, yeah. So
anyway, they planned the first three years. They waited 2 years, and they had the first 3 years apart, and it was all good, and they were done. And then my father, 8 years later, went to a Catholic retreat, and he came back, and he felt like he wanted to start receiving communion again, because as long as they were using contraception, you can't receive communion because you are actually committing a sin.
Is that okay?
Because it's a
I'm a
sin.
Jewish girl. I don't know all this
but
stuff.
contraception is a sin.
Okay.
And so all this time they weren't receiving communion, and he wanted to.
I see.
And I guess they figured, my mom was 38, they were probably safe, and they were not. So within like 4 or 5 years, she had 3 miscarriages and 2 children.
Wow.
With me being the last one, and I almost killed her, which she told me. And from the moment I could understand what that meant, she told me.
That's
But
hysterical.
yeah, well, it tells you all you need to know about Amy Aquino, doesn't it?
But she also wanted you to stay home from school, so there was a swing to that story,
Yeah, well, there was a little bit of, I think there's a little competition. She also was very smart, and she was actually accepted. She skipped 2 grades, and when she was 13 years old, they wanted her to go to Hunter High in the Bronx, but they lived in Brooklyn. So she was accepted there, so it was a huge honor for her to be accepted there. It was still a public school, but it was a very, very competitive one for girls. And
for boys as well.
And boys as well.
Yes.
And so she was accepted there, but her dad was sick, and he was in the hospital, and so they decided instead she had to go to work. So she never got to even complete high school.
Wow.
So I think, she really, she loved watching us excel. I mean, my oldest brother went to MIT, and my other brother went to Penn, and it put a big strain on the family.
What did your father do?
He finished high school, but he didn't get to go to college. He designed corrugated boxes he was a packaging engineer. So the boxes that things are in
Right.
have to be designed by someone. They have to be designed for the right shape and size, and if it's something fragile, it has to deal with that. It has to be the appropriate weight to carry whatever the weight is that's in it not get crushed. There's an art to it.
And
It's creative, and then he also designed interesting boxes that they would ship the items, and then you could unfold them and fold them, and then they became displays. Like in grocery stores, when you see stuff in the aisle, then that's been designed by somebody.
I see.
And that was my favorite, because when he had to design something like that, they had to send him a bunch of whatever it is was going to be shipped. So my favorite was when he had to design a box for Toll House chips.
Nice.
Chocolate chips. And so they sent him 144 bags of Toll House chips in all the different flavors. They had butterscotch, mint chip.
Nice.
So I was basically making, that's what started me on my baking career. I'm actually a pretty good baker.
Are you?
Yeah, and I was just making chocolate chip cookies, every week.
I kind of love that a lot. I make the brownies at Phil's every.
Oh, you make the brownies?
I'm the one who makes the brownies.
And you've seen my lemon bars?
There was something that I had of your. I think it was a lemon bar. There was something that I had of yours that was crazy. That was unbelievable. Like, I can't be near it. It was really good. Because I have a Meyer lemon tree. I'm a big urban gardener, so I've got my garden is full of the garden
trees
is
and
so gorgeous
stuff that
here.
you can eat.
Crazy, fantastic.
But whenever the Oscars come around, my Meyer lemon tree is basically always producing. She's a terrible dog wrangler. You're the worst.
Christinna,
the absolute worst.
Christina's not
Jax,
behind the camera.
Jax,
Christinna
come
is
here.
busy.
Let him come over here. I will get that away from him. You need it.
Come here, Jack. Come here. She's bad.
At this?
Okay. All right, Christinna, I'm going to send you back there.
I'm
going to have you come in a little closer on us, because I feel like it's a little too far for the people. Come in a little closer. We won't sit. Okay, so you have your Meyer lemon tree. And
so with the Oscars, when we go to Phil Rosenthal's for his Oscar gig, I always like to make something for it, and I decided to make lemon bars, and then I realized, they're golden. So I could put a little Oscar on it. So I went and I got some
This is an actual book case with books in it, physical books.
Yeah, that you can cook with. And this is my mom's recipe for pizzelles.
Oh my God.
What I have, hi Stinky, you're bad. So,
look at the Oscars.
So I got a Oscar thing, and then I cut it, and I made little baby Oscar guys that
can you see these
then,
little Oscars? Little Oscars.
And then I lay one on each bar, and then sprinkle the sugar over, and then lift it up. And so each lemon bar has a little golden Oscar on top. This last year was a little bit of a disaster, because I made them and they were perfect, they were beautiful, but we had to go someplace else before Phil's, and we left them in the trunk of the car, and when we opened the trunk, all the sugar had just melted in, so they were just like there was a little ghost of an Oscar in there. You couldn't see it at all. Yes, this is an excellent book. This is my Wellesley College Cookie Exchange book. Fabulous recipes for cookies.
All right, good to know.
Yes.
All right, so let's go back. So you're in school, you're doing fabulous, you're academic, you're creative, you're doing plays, you're doing comedy, you're doing good in school. Where do you go to college?
I went to Harvard, and I was at that point, even though I was doing all this stuff, but I wanted to be. I also, my senior year in high school, I did my. You know what would help? If you could take that cheese tray and just put it right into the refrigerator.
There you go.
Because he's got a great nose, and that's what he wants.
There you go.
Just put the whole thing in the fridge. We're not eating it anyway.
Amy is a wonderful hostess. She put out lovely nuts and cheese for us.
Which the dog doesn't understand why he can't have it. So I actually, my senior year, I did a work study in Jefferson Hospital's emergency room.
Okay.
And I had started getting interested. I want to actually go into plastic surgery, not cosmetic surgery, but reconstructive surgery. And
which surgery so well for ER.
I know. I was so
which you had that good tenure on.
But but anyway, I had gotten, I really worked my ass off, and I did really well in the SATs and everything. So I literally wasn't sure, because my parents neither one of them went to college, and I wasn't focused on that stuff, and I was like, I was sitting with my guidance counselor. What's the one that's like in ask Boston, Cambridge, or something. Oh, Harvard. Yeah, let's do that too.
I cannot believe you went. I mean, I can believe because you're brilliant. I can totally believe you went to Harvard. But wow, okay. And your major was medicine.
But well, I wasn't sure. But I tried out. It was going to be either biology, which would include all the pre-med stuff, or it was going to be something in Spanish language because I love that, and I had started learning Spanish when I was in 7th grade.
And what would you have thought to do with that?
I don't know. I just was, I just enjoyed doing it.
So you still weren't sure what you wanted to do with your life?
Yeah.
You had many options.
I was 18 years old.
You were 18.
So, yeah.
And so at Harvard, are you doing theater?
Well, Harvard doesn't have a theater department.
Oh.
So, but they have a massive amount of theater going on.
Right.
And there was one class, which was a freshman seminar in theater, and I got into that. There were only 12 people. We got into it each year, and I got into it amazingly. Although I was kind of like a utility player in that. So I was taking. I took my basic biology class my first year, and I also took an advanced math class. It was like, I don't know what I'm thinking. I am not that good at math.
I am so not
it was
in your
stupid.
unisphere.
I know that was, but no, that was a bad idea. And the acting seminar and a Spanish literature class, and so I got a taste of each of them, and then I decided I always liked studying science, and I figured that was something that I was not going to be able to get elsewhere, and also I was pre-med, so that would cover my bases, and I would enjoy it. But I started doing a lot of theater, and they had at the time, and I'm sure they still do, just a ton of theater going on all around. It just was all extracurricular.
Right.
And then by my junior year, I was still majoring in biology and completing those courses, but I realized I'm spending like the absolute minimum on my biology, and I'm spending 40 hours a week doing theater in a school with no theater department. So, So I figured at that point, I decided, and this was junior year, I decided that, okay, I need to give it a try, or I'm just gonna regret it. So,
well, you didn't,
but I got my degree. Oh yeah, I got my degree. I wrote my thesis on breastfeeding, in fact.
On breastfeeding. So you got your pre-med degree. You got
I got a biology degree. There's no such
degree.
thing. Yeah, I mean, there's not a pre-med degree.
Hi, Michael, my friend. By the way, I just want to give a shout out to a friend of mine from college. I went to the University of Arizona for the kids that weren't so bright. But we had an excellent theater department.
There can be great people there.
And Steven Spinella went to
oh my God!
And I saw him last night in the new Melissa McCarthy film.
Oh!
Please forgive. Will you please forgive me?
Yeah.
Which I have to say, wow. And Steven is wonderful in it.
Wonderful.
He's amazing. So yes, we were taking drama classes together when we were little kids, which was a long time ago.
Did you see the original?
Hell, yeah. So
okay.
he's pretty amazing. So. Okay, so
that, and then I did it. I moved to New York after college, and because I figured New York had waited long enough. Amy Aquino.
And so theater's what you wanted to do. You weren't.
I was gonna give it a shot.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
but you weren't looking at Hollywood and at that point, or were you?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I wasn't not going to do that, but theater was what I did, and that's what most kids are doing. It's what you're. Well, I mean, I think it's probably different if you're. I was always a character, and I suspect there are people who are. If everybody wants to photograph you because you're so beautiful, then you might get in your head, I'm gonna go into
There are definitely
film.
people that have that, but I think the people that generate to film immediately, quickly, are the ones who haven't done all the acting. They haven't been on stage and haven't done all of that as much, right? So they just want to be a star.
Yeah, and that was not me at all.
Yeah.
So moved to New York and got nothing, really nothing. But I hadn't had any training either because I hadn't had any training. So I started getting my training. Classes, nothing. So I started getting training in New York, and I got acting classes in one place at HB, and I was taking dance at the Nat Horn Studio.
Everybody went to HB.
I know, and I had a really good teacher who, of course, died of AIDS. And singing classes elsewhere, and just kind of going around and getting.
And so, were you working to support yourself? What were you
Yes,
doing?
I worked at Skadden Arp, Slate, Mar and Flom. And
What?
What
is that?
It's a law firm, and it's still a law firm, and actually they just got an award for their pro bono work, which I was very happy to see. Mike Farrell and Skadden Arps in the same
I love Mike Farrell. He did really
love
well.
him.
I love him.
Love him.
He's a good man.
Yeah, and I had no idea because when I was working at Skadden Arps, Slate, Moore, and Flump, they were not exactly socially conscious. No, they were doing all these major. They were the biggest M&A law firm. Mergers and acquisitions, and this was during the 80s when there were all these corporate takeovers. This is when all the mergers were happening, and unfriendly and when you're taking over when it's not a friendly merger, it's like declaring war. So everything's done ahead of time. Everything's done ahead of time. And what you didn't see was all the paralegals and everybody working to prepare all the documents. And then it's announced, and boom, it's all ready to go. So it's not announced until these massive packages of documents. No, until the documents can go to all the shareholders to make the offer, so they can take it over. Because you don't just literally go in with guns to take them over. You get the shareholders to sell their shares to you, so that you have ownership, but you don't let anybody know that it's happening. So. They needed, and Skadden was very smart, and Louise Gittleson, if you're still around, hi, thank you. She figured it out in New York that there were all these people out there with these expensive degrees that were completely going to waste because they wanted to be actors and directors and singers and visual artists or whatever. So they were all knocking around New York, and they're having to get jobs and if they can as restaurants and stuff. I couldn't get arrested in a restaurant. I couldn't get arrested in Philadelphia, the bicentennial city, in 1976 in a restaurant. I literally had to take a job acting that summer because no one would hire me as a waitress. It's a Lily Tomlin joke, and for me, it was actually my life.
That is hysterical.
But my friend Diane Pennies Edelman, hi Diane.
You remember, you're very good with names.
No, I'm terrible. With way back names, I'm good. Okay. If I met you in the last 5 years, you know that the first time I meet, I will say to people, okay, here's the deal. I have a terrible memory for names and faces. So the next time I see you, I probably won't even recognize you, but you'll remember that I said this to you, so you won't.
You will forgive me.
You will forgive me. And I may or may so remember your dog's name either. But I'm probably more likely to remember your dog's name than yours.
I love it.
Killing, honey. He's killing. So where was I? So Skadden Arps, Lake Meyer, Flum. I worked there 3 nights a week. I shared an apartment with my friend David from high school. And
so the woman at the law firm figured out to hire actors.
Not just actors, but these actors, writers, directors. I mean, Ronnie Yeskel, wonderful, amazing casting director. She was a night proofreader there. I knew her there. I got a lot because I was one of the first 5 night paralegals. I have a family tree of night paralegals. All these people who came out that I knew.
I love it.
Who came after me. But it was a great gig because it was $10 an hour. Hello.
Back then, a lot of money. Yeah.
I was only paying, my share of the rent was $200 a month, so I could work 3 days a week. 3 days in a week, and that would pay my rent for the month.
So now, if you're doing night paralegal, how are you doing theater at night?
Well, you would have to actually get hired, and for that to be a problem. And luckily,
so auditions happen in the afternoon for the most part.
Auditions would happen all day, and I would take myself to them, and I had no one sending me out, and no agent, and I would just go to those open calls and put the sign-up sheet up before anybody else got there. I'm having a ball watching The Deuce, by the way. Have you watched it yet?
No.
It's pretty amazing, but Maggie Gyllenhaal is
she's
a
brilliant.
Gift from God, and the whole show is amazing. It's so empowering. Is it on Netflix? It's
like HBO or something?
And it's about New York City. The Deuce is 42nd Street. New York City, it starts in 71 and then it moves to 77. And so this was at the time when New York City was at its absolute nadir. But it was just before crack. Because I know when crack came in because I was there. But this was the time I was living there when, the graffitis, the subways, literally every inch was covered in graffiti. And 42nd Street, I worked.
Very scary.
Yeah, because my first job out of school was a full-time paralegal job at Cheyenne Gould, which was my friend from college, her grandfather got me, but that was at 42nd and Madison, and I was taking classes at the Nat Horn Dance Theater on 42nd and 10th.
Yeah,
which was
42nd
across
and 10th
town.
was absolutely horrific.
Well, but I could deal with that, but I could not cross along 42nd Street. So even though I was on 42nd, going to 42nd, I would go to 41st, or I'd go up to 43rd. But no, and I've spoken to so many, especially women, who are like that. Yeah, you didn't walk along 42nd Street.
Absolutely not.
Now it's just crowded with tourists and children, and I mean, it's just Disneyland.
Yeah.
But although it's starting to kind of cycle back. But that was the time. If you're gonna make noise, you should be on camera.
Yeah.
Came in about it. So that was my time, and I kept.
So how did the break? How did
and
it
then,
change?
Well, I realized after my first year there that the people who were getting the jobs were.
I found that I'm doing that with. It's horrible. Yeah.
Were the people who came out of Yale and Juilliard. So I didn't think that I needed to go to graduate school because I figured, like I said, that New York had waited long enough for me. And but then I saw who was getting jobs, so I started applying actually, and I applied to Yale Drama School, and I applied to Juilliard. And I did both auditions, and the Juilliard one was like, okay, this is not a good fit. It's like the song from Chorus Line.
I was just
Feel the ocean.
yesterday.
Feel, and I was like, no, I felt nothing. Because they tended to be much younger, and by then I was 23 or 20, and there were kids coming in who were like 17, 18. Like, no, I'm not that malleable.
Okay.
And Yale just rejected me. So then I went back the next year. So I kept working, kept taking classes, trying to get things. I did one little job. And, really? What?
Jackson,
Do
you
you
have
need
to
a treat
come.
or something?
Yeah.
Could you maybe get...
Christinna, can you is there a treat up there?
Not up here.
He ate them both.
Oh, okay, then he needs to get...
Hi,
There's
Herbie.
more.
Oh my God, I've known Herbie since I was 15. Herbie Michael, I know him from the Catskill Mountains. Hi,
Don't get him.
hi,
Is
Leslie.
that nuts? You can eat them, but...
Hi, Linda. Hi, Tony. I'm saying hi while we're getting treats for the dog.
Yes.
For
And you have one
Jackson, I'm just saying hi.
You can
Hi,
try.
Mark. Hi, Tony. Hi, Sharon.
Where are my friends?
I don't know because did you?
I didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't
you didn't
put it
do
up
it.
here fast
They'll see.
enough.
They'll
Okay.
do it later.
So second year, I auditioned again for Yale, and again they reject me. And so then my friend Peter Moore was from Minneapolis, and he was an actor, and his dad actually was the role. He was a newscaster, and he was the role model for Ted Knight.
Oh my God!
He's a lovely man, Dave Moore.
Wow.
But Peter told me, look, in Minneapolis, it's a great theater town, and it's got the highest percentage of the theater-going public of any city in America. And at any given time, the unemployment rate for actors is like 50% versus 95% in New York.
Right.
So I said, okay, and I got my equity card, my union card, somehow in New York, and
Oh, you did? So you had to act then. You had to do something.
yes, it was a very, very tiny production, but and I wrote to the 5 equity theaters in Minneapolis, and I said, I would like to come in, and they were like, great, when can you get here?
Nice.
Oh no, we'd love to see you. Come on in. So I went. My cousin Rosemary, God bless her, she and her husband put me up at their house in Mound. Let me use their brand new car, which was a stick shift, and I didn't know how to drive it, and they showed me how to do it, and I'm driving through Minneapolis.
Wow.
I auditioned at the theaters, and and everyone was so kind, and I got my first real paying gig at the Old Log Theater, which is the oldest continuously running theater in America.
Wow.
And I was the girl in the Freudian slip. It was actually a Freudian bra, the way we staged it, but the lead was leaving, and they needed a replacement, and it's big dinner theater. They gave me an apartment.
Oh my God.
Paid me money.
Oh, that's so great.
So I was very happy. I got an agent right away. I started shooting commercials right away. Suddenly, all the things that had been so completely elusive in New York, they were welcoming with open arms. And I love Minneapolis. Great city, great people, and these brilliant theaters there too. So I made the determination I was just going to move there, and but I was coming back then. The show closed right before the holidays. So I'll go back for the holidays, go back east, and then the Yale auditions. I had already applied to Yale a third time. I just I just didn't care that they had out and rejected me.
I love that.
Well, that's that's
It's
what
the
you
way
do when you're that age, I guess.
And it's show business.
I guess. And I had been studying all this time, and now I've just come off this show that I've been doing for months, and so I went, all right, fine, I'll just audition or whatever. And I auditioned this last time, and I'm ready to move back to Minneapolis, and then they finally got in. So that's what I ended up doing. So now I went to the drama school, and that was a great
So was that
experience.
everything that we think it is?
In a way, yeah.
My daughter's
I'm
in
good with
Tisch, and
that.
she's thinking about applying to.
She's getting her degree in acting.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So she's thinking.
It's still. I think it's probably better now than it was. It was going
Really?
through. Well, it was going through a very strange transition period then.
Who was in your class?
Well, that you would know.
Yeah.
Is our big fat star is Courtney B. Vance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. He's
Yeah.
pretty fantastic.
He's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, he's pretty
fantastic.
fantastic.
And a doll. And Angie Bassett, they met through because she came back to do a show. She had already graduated, but she came back to do a show. And
So you and Courtney are the two stars of your class.
well, we had the most success, and we've got some wonderful. Timothy Douglas he ended up just going into directing, and he's doing a lot of directing. And I'm going to forget somebody. Neil Lerner has been acting and teaching. We have a lot of folks who've been teaching. Mark Raffell's been teaching. Dave Nelson started teaching. We've just got. There's a lot of that, but it was a
worthy experience.
It ended up being really good for me. It was really hard. We were very tight as a class. We were very supportive
How
of each
many?
other.
How many are in your class? When
There
you
were
it's small.
I should know. Yeah, it was like 15.
Wow.
And then we lost one guy. Jeff Yeager left because he got a gig. He came out here for the summer and super good looking and got a series regular role, and so he didn't stay. And then another one of my classmates who I really loved died of AIDS a couple years later. Because it was that time. It was that time. But some wonderful people. The class above me had a lot of success. Chris Noth, Dylan Baker, Patty Clarkson. Just they're.
She's amazing. Did you see Sharp Objects?
Yeah.
I mean, if she doesn't win the Emmy
Something.
for that, is she like crazy?
Oh
in that?
my God! And Amy Adams.
Wait a
too.
minute. Are you
It's
going to be up against her?
No,
Is that like
I'm not up against it.
No, but Patricia Clarkson owned that series. She just owned it. Wow.
She was what a
Amazing.
perfect role for her.
Yes, perfect.
She was extraordinary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get back to you. So you get out of Yale, and what
I
happens?
get out of Yale, and I actually but at the end of the 3 years, while I was at Yale,
How do you support yourself while you're at Yale?
Well, you're a student, so you get loans, and I saved up money, and
Yale's actually better than most because it's
now it's
called?
fully paid.
It's not, but it's needs met.
Yeah.
So whatever you've got, they meet the rest.
Yes, it wasn't this case at the time, but so I had loans and I had saved up some money, and also it wasn't as expensive. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Christinna, maybe we should move the cracker thing off of there. Anything he can see that looks like food,
I'm gonna
just put it in the
start crying
refrigerator.
for food too soon.
It's just and the bowl, just get it all out of there, just so he doesn't have to see it. It's amazing, and when I'm distracted by a dog, I can only imagine what it's like for you guys. So at the end, the class is. And you should probably take that bowl away too. Yeah. Just put it wherever in a drawer. It doesn't matter.
Poor
thank
Christinna.
you.
Christina's
Just
like
doesn't matter.
having to take care of Jackson.
I know.
So
Thank you,
It's all
Christinna.
good. She loves him.
I do. I take him home.
He's a good dog. He's not starving. Just acting that way. So they do at the end of your third year. They did what you call the league auditions. It was a league of resident theater programs, and basically they took the top 12 acting schools, and they would each bring their graduating class together in New York for a weekend to
audition for everybody.
And they would invite casting directors, and they would invite it would be
Agents,
casting directors, agents, stuff. So it would be this mob, and each student had 3 minutes, and so basically you did 2 3-minute scenes typically, and I wanted to work. I did, one of my scenes was Shakespeare, because that's how you're gonna get hired. And then, but it was Kate, so I was really kind of wild and rough, and the other one I really wanted to be Irving, and a professional, and I wanted to work with this one wonderful actress, Kimberly Yarn, and so she and I came up with Agnes of God, because that felt like a good fit. But we also thought that we did not love the play. We thought it was a little melodramatic, but we thought it could also really work kind of as a comedy. So a very, very dark comedy. So we did our own interpretation of it.
Wow.
And where I was just like an insane, chain smoking, completely neurotic doctor, and she was like a nymphomaniac, Agnes.
Nice.
Agnes of God. It's about a nun who has a baby. They find this fetus, this dead fetus, and they are trying to. They bring in a
very funny. It's a very
super
funny.
funny.
It's not funny at all. That's
Not
crazy
funny
that you
at
made
all.
it a comedy.
At
I
all.
love that.
But some of the lines were just so extreme that if you didn't do them seriously, they were really fucking funny. Or if you just played it. So we thought it was super funny.
Yeah.
Our classmates, some of our classmates were horrified because we literally were talking about dead babies. But we were playing it for laughs. But we thought it was really funny, and we figured if they don't get it, then they don't get us.
Okay. Yeah.
So then that's it. Meanwhile, I also had finally gotten my first.
They
ever,
on there they can't see what you're doing. They just see your wild hand going.
Here, I'm going to help you out. Come here, Jax.
So
come on up.
So Amy's playing with Jackson.
Playing
That's
with
what
the
she's
dog.
doing down there. So
Come here,
it's
Sadie.
just- Yeah. No.
No, you won't.
See,
Okay,
Jackson's
so
playing
maybe-
hard to get the
No,
entire
now he's
time.
playing hard to get.
Yeah.
You're going to
There-
see him.
there-
There he is.
Well, he'll be in the frame in
He'll
a
be in
second.
the
There's-
Oh, no. This is not your show. Not your show, buddy. Nah.
Yeah.
You're just insisting on making noise no matter what. Shush. So, I had got my first lead because, I learned a tremendous amount at Yale, and I pushed myself, and I kept doing things that I was not good at, so that I would
Nice.
push myself.
Can you give us an example of what that might be?
I was trying. I was doing, for scenes.
Okay.
It was just scenes. I did a doll's house. I did where I played this subservient woman. Yeah, yeah. Worked that out. Although I'd love to do Doll's House Part 2. I think I'm made to do that. But I would just come back. I so appreciated the education I was getting there because I had been on my own and paying for my own classes in New York and running all over town. The fact that I was here in one place
Getting it all.
I didn't miss a goddamn class. I was late.
Do they do
I
musical
wasn't
theater?
absent. No, I wasn't a musician. I wasn't.
It's right. I didn't think.
I mean, they would do some shows. We did. I actually did Pacific Overtures with Patty Clarkson.
Wow.
She was amazing. She's phenomenally funny. You never
I'm trying
ever
to
get
think
to
if
see that.
I'm reflecting if I've ever seen her in a comedy.
No, you haven't.
No.
She's brilliantly funny.
Wow, I love that.
I was Courtney Vance played my son. He was the emperor. I was the emperor's mom, but she was like one of the leads. I don't think there was a single Asian person in the production. I don't know. There was. It was one director who was Asian, but there weren't actors. But anyway, I digress. So they just would cast me all through there because we had these phenomenal, beautiful, wonderful actresses in my class. And really strong actresses in my class. And so they would find plays that had these great meaty roles for women, but they were never quite enough. And so they would give me the good old character one because they knew that I could do the character thing and I could make it funny, whatever.
Right.
So by my third year, I went, January of my third year, I went to the dean and I said, okay, am I going to play a lead before I leave here? Because just want to know.
Yeah.
Because I'm planning, I was ready to be moving out. I was older than most of the other people there, and he is great. Okay, let's see what we have here, so I ended up doing these 2 one-act plays, one after another, and I was screaming and yelling in both of them, but in the same night. So I had to change from a 50-year-old running for office in Western Pennsylvania during the intermission to a 30-year-old hooker attached to an ivy walking around in high heels. And in both of them, I'm screaming and smoking. And we closed. We were in 2 weekends and closed the night before the league audition. So the next morning I wake up.
Oh, you have no voice.
And my voice is down here. And I was so worried about it. But my voice teacher, bless her, Zoe, she said, no, it's great. Because I had a voice. It was just so low. She'd done a really good job of tuning it so I could do all the screaming. But it was down here. Well, unbeknownst to me, when they originally did Agnes of God, it was who played the psychiatrist?
I don't remember.
Her voice is down here. It wasn't Patricia Neal. It was oh Christ. And
I don't remember.
oh my God.
All right, wait, I gotta look it up now.
Oh, I thought it was Lee Pace.
Agnes of God.
Yeah, she was wonderful. Agnes of Gid.
Yeah. This is IMDb. Wait, we have to go to Wikipedia and see if we can get the original cast.
Original cast. You just went past it, didn't you?
Geraldine Page? Was it Geraldine Page?
Elizabeth Ashley.
Oh, Elizabeth Ashley.
Whose voice is down here?
Yes, it is.
So I come out with a cigarette this long. I got the longest cigarette I could get, and I got a lighter and I set it up. The flame as high as I could get it. And I come out, she's already on stage. I come out and I go, and everybody's thinking, "Oh, Agnes of God, my God, yeah, I was doing Agnes of God." It's interesting, but they're silent.
Right.
During these auditions, they're silent.
Okay.
They don't laugh. They don't applaud.
Right.
They don't. They're
Right.
just
Tough
sitting
crowd.
taking notes.
Right.
They want to see what you do and they take
Right.
notes. So I come out, I go to light my cigarette, I decide I would do it with a flourish. I come down and the lighter goes out. And so I come down again and the lighter goes out again. So then I just become like, I'm glad to say it until I can get it lit. And people go, oh, this is different. Oh, they're not doing this seriously. And so I get it lit, and we start the song, and Kimberly was brilliant. And she's in this chair, and we start circling, and once they figure it out, they go nuts.
Oh, really?
And
They're
they
being
start
responsive?
Applauding, and they start stamping their feet, and they start stopping us, and then kind of all I have to do is go, and they do some more.
That's so fantastic.
It was quite bizarre, and it was very jarring because I had been like, good old Amy, she's funny. I don't give her that funny thing. And now I'm like getting this attention. I mean, I was used to getting attention for comedy because I had been in the comedy group, right? And I had done, and in college I had done a lot of comedy, and I had done well, and I knew that I could.
Right.
But that wasn't where I was focusing.
Right.
And we just had. We really did have, my classmates were such brilliant actresses and funny and smart, beautiful voices and everything. And I was like, I appreciate it. And I was just like, okay. And now I'm suddenly like, whoa. And so that let me hit the ground running.
So you got everything when you left?
I got out, yeah. I had my choice of agents, and I ended up going with a big agency, and I got my first job through that because these casting directors saw me for La Jolla Playhouse.
What was your first job?
It was doing the Three Cuckolds that Bill Irwin was starring in and directing at La Jolla Playhouse, and I had to fly from my graduation to La Jolla because we started rehearsals the next day.
Wow.
It was just a dream come true.
Wow.
And it put me out here on the West Coast, and my agents were bi-coastal, so it was sort of a perfect kickoff because I could meet them, they could see me, they didn't know me from God, and they could see my work, which I guess at least a couple of them did. But then I could, once we were running, it's a 2-hour drive, I could come up during the day and meet them and go out for things and audition for things.
So how quickly did you segue from theater to film?
I went back when I finished the job, I went back, it was during the summer, I went back to New York, and And then I start
the door is just going like this because
really
Jackson's fighting his way back in.
He can do
Hysterical.
it.
Hi, Bob Stein. Oh God, Bob Stein is Robert Klein's band. He's been his pianist like forever. Robert's whole career. Hi, Bob. I've known Bob forever. Procton. Oh my God. Okay, so Procton.
My God. He went to Harvard, didn't he?
Procton
Bunnell the third.
Procton. I was just listening today. Earth, Wind, and Fire played in my living room a few years ago for my birthday, and Larry Dunn from Earth, Wind, and Fire with Allie Willis, who wrote September, and Procton was singing, and I was just watching it today. Procton, hey.
Oh my God.
So that's so nice. So how did this segue to was?
Oh, so then I went back to New York, and then
film? What came first?
It was.
Because you've done both.
It was right at the same time, because right at the beginning, my agents were sending me out more for films as well.
But you're one of the few actors who back then could jump between TV and film.
I mean, I did a little.
You did.
And then, but very. I mean, I did Working Girl. I did Moonstruck.
Right.
And small roles in each, but then. Then people started casting me in TV. When I'd come back here for pilot season.
Didn't just do guest spots. You had roles on television. You had recurring roles and featured roles on television shows like over and over.
Yeah.
And
so
over
that's been my career.
That's been your career. It's great. By the way, Kathy Ladden says hello.
Oh, Kathy
Ladden. Speaking of that, and. But yes, you've had an amazing run. Okay, so but when you very first started, was it a movie or what was the first?
I did. I mean, it's so interesting. People ask that, and I've got to go back and just look at my records.
Okay,
I've got it somewhere,
have to
but
look at IMDb.
it was either Working Girl.
Yeah.
Or it was.
I don't think that came up as your first thing, but we'll see.
It was a show that I did with Andy Borowitz, who is the funniest man in America and makes me laugh every day. I subscribe to him. And I had done his musical. The last thing I did when I was at Harvard was a musical, because he was a year behind me. And I actually, at that point, Peter Sellers, the opera director, was there, and he offered me a role in The Three Sisters. And Andy offered me a role in Oh No, No Net, which was a circus comedy satire that he'd actually written for All Men for the
Hasty Pudding.
Hasty Pudding, and it had been rejected, and so he decided to go ahead and do it. And I was like, Peter, I was like, okay, it's called Three Sisters. Am I one of the sisters? And he said, no, you'd be Natasha. She's really interesting. I said, I'm sorry. If I'm going to be in Three Sisters, I need to be one of the sisters. And meanwhile, Andy, in Andy's play, I would actually get to sing, and they wrote Fred Barton, God bless you, right around my 6-note range.
Yeah.
So I had a great song. I'm
How
a bitch.
Fabulous.
So I did that, and I had fun, and I made one of my very closest, oldest friends, Andrea Michaels. She was the sweet girl, and I was the bitch. So anyway, when I got out, when Andy graduated, he went directly to Hollywood, and he was producing. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air kind of worked for him, but he did a show with Lonnie Anderson, who was a doll.
Oh, nice.
And he cast me as the Italian maid in this Beverly Hills mansion, and so I got to sing on television, my very first television role.
Okay, I'm looking. Easy Street is that's
Easy Street,
right?
and that was 1987.
And then Moonstruck and Working Girl came right after that.
Okay.
But then you got your first series, One of the Boys, and then you're recurrent. You're
One of the Boys.
Yeah. And
and
so for those of you, so I'm going. Oh, Sisters, I love Sisters. Okay, so then you had Brooklyn Bridge, which was a long run for you. You had Mad Men at the People, long run for you. Picket Fence. Oh my God, you were in such great shows.
I was able
Judging
to do,
Amy.
at what point? This point in my life,
yeah,
right around 2000, I was recurring on. I called it doing repertory television. I was recurring on. Four different brilliant shows.
Wow.
And I was so lucky. They were all so different. It was Judging Amy and Felicity and Freaks and Geeks.
Wow.
And ER. And
wow.
I mean, how lucky was I?
That's crazy. And it never Like you never had a conflict?
They would work with each other in both cases. In none of the cases was I like the central character. I was recurring, and they would work it out. And they couldn't have been more different characters. Well, maybe they could have if one of them was like a victim. But I didn't play a lot of victims. But I'm a perpetrator. But I just thought, okay, because I never, when I was in school, I was like, I'll never do television. But okay, and then I was like, I will do a guest star on television. I'm not going to be a regular because I'm not going to be tied down to television. But they actually did my and it's one sort of disservice that they did. That in my agency, I kept asking them to send me out for more film, and they had said early on, they said, I finally got a direct answer out of this one agent, which I appreciated.
Okay,
he said,
which was?
Listen, the agency makes a decision if it's going to be film or television. And they've made the decision about you because you were getting hired in television, and they're not going to promote you for film.
Because that's where the bread is buttered, and they know they're making money with you. Is that it?
Yeah, well, they weren't going to push it. They had made a decision that I'm not a big screen person, and so it was like, thank you, Scott, for actually being honest with me, because I kept having meetings with them, and why? Because I did, right out of the gate, I did Working Girl.
That was so phenomenal. And even in Moonstruck, you have
it's a cute little thing. But the scene in Working Girl was like, it was one day, but if you're gonna have one scene in a movie, let it be the final scene.
Pretty great.
When she's getting her dream, and it's a great subtle scene. But they never promote. But they never really pushed it. They didn't promote it. They just saw, okay, I could make money in television. That's where they were gonna go. So, but at least. So then, the film wasn't happening, but I was very busy in television. But at least it was television that was like great work. Working on ER was working on Felicity. I mean, this is J.J. Abrams. Okay, ER was John Wells, Mimi Lever. It was Freaks and Geeks was Judd Apatow. Okay, it was Paul Feig. I'm working with James Franco, and if you look, they did a Freaks and Geeks photo shoot. An anniversary reunion photo shoot a few years ago, and because I was just in my little corner, I'm looking at these people walk in. It's like, oh my god, oh Linda, of course, because I knew Linda Cardellini from ER. I didn't know she started there. Seth Rogen started. I mean, it was like ridiculous. So
Judd's whole stable, basically.
It's where it all started.
Yeah.
It was really extraordinary, and then Felicity is it's Kerry Russell and Jennifer Garner, and and these amazing writer producers and directors, and so I was very lucky, and I was having kind of a wonderful time with it. It was not a bad thing.
It continuing. I mean, Bosch is.
It's pretty. I mean, to get this at this age, and I've been very lucky because most women, if you're cast as an ingenue or a leading woman, if that's where you are, then you're gonna die. Yeah, you're done at 40, and you just may as well wait until your hair turns white. And then, if you can still remember the lines, then you can have a very nice career. But because I was always a character, I was able to kind of push through. I had a little quiet, but I was never somebody's. It was so rarely somebody's wife or. Brooklyn Bridge was an exception, and Brooklyn Bridge was a beautiful show, which I wish they would find and resurrect online. We had 30. We shot only a season and a half, but it's 35 episodes.
It seems like it was around forever.
A season and a half before they pulled it off, but that's 35 episodes, which in today's
is a lot.
Is 3.5 years.
Yeah.
3.5 years.
They should pull that back.
They can't do it.
So was there anything, because you've been a working actor pretty much this whole time, was there anything that you wanted that you didn't get? Did you not get anything that you coveted?
Lots.
And because I mean the purpose of this show, the raison d'etre of this show is people who have managed to live their dream, merge creativity and commerce, to inform, inspire, motivate people who are still striving to get there. And so a lot of us who are still striving have failures. A lot of failures.
Of course. So like I said, I would have loved to have done movies. I thought about. I'm very left-brained. That's the linear one, and
the one that I'm not.
Right.
Yeah.
And have to have that. So, and we haven't even talked about it. I mean, starting when I was doing Brooklyn Bridge, we started noticing that our paychecks were, right. Yeah. But that show, because it was Gary Goldberg, and that was his baby. It was his life. Okay. It was about his family, and he was going to do it his way. And so we went. We were shooting. It was a half-hour show, but instead of shooting for 5 days, we were shooting 6 days, 7 to 8 days. And at one point, Peter Friedman and I, we're getting paid for a half-hour show because you get paid by episode.
I see.
And the expectation is it's 5 days, and our show is 8 days. And couldn't we work for 15 days and still get paid the same amount of money? And so we contacted the union, and it turns out, no. They have an average of 5 days an episode. You have to look at the end of the season. And so we wait, and then we wait for the union and the union doesn't say anything, and then
the union doesn't say anything?
That we don't hear anything from the union. So then we go back and we say, hey, look at how much we worked. And they come back and say, oh, well, good thing you contacted us because, you're owed all this money. Because we went way over.
Wow.
5 days an episode on average. And now we're waiting and waiting for them to do something. And they're not, and they're not, and they're not. And they won't give us any information. I hire an attorney.
Right.
And that's when I started getting involved in the union. And I realized, because I knew they were there to take care of us and protect us, and why aren't they taking care of this? And so I figured I can bitch about it with my other friends, or I can do something about it. And so that was the first time I ran for office in the union. I started organizing working actors.
What year is this?
I started organizing the working actors in 92, and then I first ran for office in 94. I got on a committee first, and then I ran for office, and then I was board member, and then I was the 11th vice president.
Wow.
11 heartbeats away. And then I was first vice president. Richard Masser actually was the one who kind of brought me in. He and Barry Gordon, and then I was a union officer for 20 years, and I worked.
So you must know Dan Navarro.
Yeah, I just saw him in New Orleans. I just had dinner with him in New Orleans.
Hi, Dan is making a CD today with James Lee Stanley, another friend of mine. They're doing all wooden and Zeppelin, lead.
Okay.
Anyway, I love Dan.
Love him. Yes. I literally was in New Orleans at a pension and health trustees conference.
There you go.
And he was there for the negotiations, the music negotiations.
You know Andy Sheffman?
I know Andy Sheffman.
He was after I forgot the signatory for a million years.
He was a signatory, so he's an employer.
But he was he was in charge from AFTRA of signatory. That was
okay.
Yeah,
signing.
And
okay.
he was with AFTRA for forever.
I know the name, and I'm
together with Stephen Spinella. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
Know him forever.
Because I was on the SAG side, but then I was involved with AFTRA. I would go to convention and.
So that's great, and so you still do that, obviously.
I managed to get the unions merged. I helped form a group with Fred, man that I met that I was impressed with at a union meeting, and said, hey, you want to try to make some changes at the union? And initially it wasn't about merger, but then when the two unions, SAG and AFTRA, started, went to war with each other, we said, okay, this other thing we're working on, that's all cool, but nothing's going to work until we get these unions merged finally. And I had already worked on the merger in 98, I'd worked on the merger in 2003.
Wow.
Both of which failed, but so we put together a slate and raised money and managed to turn it around. It was interesting. It was very interesting. Once I got done and we got the union settled, then it just started getting really political again, and it's like I'm bad with politics.
So since we're going to that, I asked you before we started, and we didn't get into it, about if you have a Me Too, and if any of that has happened to you in your career. And
I have. I was, when this all started coming up, and I was certainly horrified to hear about it and see it, but not surprised. But I also joked about starting a hashtag not me. And I heard somebody else say a hashtag why not me, but I literally, I was the one who would be like going to the casting office and say, hey, that sofa looks very comfortable, and they'd say, no, we're fine right here, just sit here. But I think, all joking aside, there is this flip side to it, which is, if while there are women that that are sexually harassed because men want, men in power want to exert power over them sexually, then the ones that they don't, whom they find maybe threatening intellectually,
right?
Then they really don't know what to do. So then there's this backlash.
What's the backlash? What does that look like?
It's like, well, they don't. Well, I don't want to fuck her, so what would I do with that?
Okay.
Or, it's
you're too
the
smart,
egos,
you're too strong,
the
you're
egos,
too
and
scary.
starts, and I'm not. I don't seem like somebody who would be compliant. I'm not sexy in the way that they wanted to be sexy, and so there's that other
I'm not
side.
going to have that argument with you. You should see the cleavage. Go back and look at the bra.
That's all made up, and that's now I'm wearing bras. I didn't used to. No, but there is definitely, it's dangerous being too smart a woman as well. And I asked you if you read Linda Bloodworth Thomason's piece.
So how has that worked against? How has that worked against you? And can you point to anything?
I imagine. I mean, I can't talk about the jobs I didn't get, but I know that there were. Luckily, I was able to work with a whole lot of men with a tremendous amount of integrity who were really smart and who aren't threatened by smart women.
There you go.
Which is why they, hire Amy. Amy Brandeman created her own show, but and Carrie Russell, and they're happy. I would go with the ones who were not crazed, and so who were secure, who were good. But I'm sure that there are other things that I would have liked to have done that I probably didn't end up doing.
So
and you also just have to watch your step as a woman. You can have ideas, but
so let's take Bosch for example. So where you are now. So do you feel?
Christinna, sorry, just go ahead, push it all the way, and it'll stick open.
Do you feel heard there? Do you because it appears to me that they're taking good care of you because you are a strong woman. You are respected. You aren't a bitch. All these things. Did you have input into that? Is that what they wrote for you from the start?
I think that was their idea for her. They didn't. They were going to have those other
women
functions. fulfilled by other women on the show.
Yeah.
It's as I said at the top. They value this character and they want her to be straight and smart. I'm also incredibly protective of her. Very early on, we have we've had a number, but the two main technical advisors we have in the show are these two detectives who are partners, Mitzi Roberts and Tim Marcia. And from the start,
they have a woman as a...
Yes, the two of them,
cool.
so it's half and half. They've been working with Michael Connelly for years, and he actually based his new set of novels, based on Renee Ballard, off of Mitzi. And she's extraordinary. You meet her, you love her, you are blown away by her. So I just from the beginning, I met her right before my first costume fitting, and I went into the costume fitting, and I'm like looking at what they have, and say, "Yep, I can wear that. Nope, Mitzi wouldn't wear that. Nope. And then like the shoes, they had all flats for me. I said, no, I need a little bit of heel because I'm more comfortable in a chunky heel. And they said, well, no, but you're a detective. I said, Mitzi, where's the heel?
I love it.
So then I saw her again right after that, and I said, okay, costume designer saying no heel, but you wear a heel. She said, oh no, if you're a woman, totally wear a heel because it makes you bigger.
Ooh.
It makes you more threatening.
Ooh.
There
you go. In the real world.
Total sense.
Okay, so I just want to speak to that for a moment because my stylist and my good friend Craig Ames worked with Amy. What show was that? Like a million years
That's
ago.
Life. And
That's Life. A million years ago. And so on Sunday I walked in and I saw Craig and I was wearing a white shirt. He goes, oh, you've been wearing a lot of white lately. And he said, Amy's the one who taught me that to put a little white around. Craig is a costume designer, a dresser, and he works on Man with a Plan now and on Will and Grace. And he said, Amy's the one who taught us that you put a little white by the face and then it
a little reflection, and
then it fills in the lines and everything. And so tonight I'm out of respect, I'm wearing some white.
And I appreciate it because I'm getting some
She's
bounce
getting
off
some
of
bounce.
her.
But the thing is that you're very smart about all of that. I mean, we walked in, you know about where the camera should be, you know where the light should be, you know what But I love the fact that you're proactive about it. And I think you even told me an example of being on the set where they were shooting you and you knew that you were not getting a good shot. And you tried to stand up for yourself. It didn't quite work in that situation.
Doesn't always work.
Doesn't always work.
It's hard, and I had this problem on Brooklyn Bridge as well, because on that show it was these gorgeous older people, Marion Ross and Louis Zorich, and then these beautiful little boys.
She'll be
and
at
then
the
these
right on Tuesday.
Marion?
Will you come? Come Tuesday morning. She'll be at my house.
At your house?
Yes.
In Montrose.
At my house in Montrose.
How far away is Montrose?
Not far. It took us like no time to get here.
Where's Montrose?
It'll take you 20 minutes to get there.
Oh,
it's
just
by
toward
Glendale.
Pleasant?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Tell everybody where I live. I don't mind.
You know, I'm going to Marion's. Marion's turned 90.
Yes, no, she's 91.
She's not. We're having a birthday party with her for tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. She's turning 90. That's right. I'm sorry.
I just did the video of
because we just were at her house at the Happy Days Farm.
Happy Days Farm.
And
Brooklyn and Sophie. She calls Sophie. Part of her yard is Sophie.
Oh, we didn't get to the yard. We were sitting in her kitchen.
Okay.
But she's coming to my house on Tuesday.
Oh,
so you have to come. You're invited.
I will. If I'm working, but we'll see what the timing is. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, puppy. Come on, Benny. Can you come here? Come on up.
I forgot about
Maybe
that.
you'll stop. Ryan, come here.
So wait, you were talking about the lighting.
So
on Brooklyn Bridge.
So Brooklyn Bridge, I'm the only woman who's like middle aged.
You're a kid then.
I was 35.
Okay.
That's I was not.
Yeah.
No, it's not a kid when you're being shot. Okay,
True.
getting your picture taken.
Right.
25 is a kid.
Yeah.
35 is pushing 40. Okay, so it's very different lighting needs.
Okay.
And they did this most beautiful lighting because the show was this gorgeous thing.
Right.
That was, because it was a period piece, it was set in the 50s, and the production design was stunning, and the lighting was stunning, and I love you, Kenny Zunder. But it was, I would go to him and say, please, I'd be like that. Please, I'm not an 8-year-old boy with big, beautiful cheeks, and I'm not a gorgeous old man. Give me a tiny bit more light. Would it kill you? Right, Bunny, come.
So even then, I mean, that's a long time ago in your career. Even then, you knew and you asked.
I knew a little bit, but I'm not. I mean, I learned from some. There are women who are pros at it, and I was never a pro at all. But I just
like who's somebody that you worked with that really
Lindsay
knows how to
Wagner.
Really, she knows how to
Lovely
take care of
woman,
herself.
brilliant woman.
She's beautiful,
really smart, and just couldn't have been nicer. I did a TV movie with her, and I'm watching her do this stuff, and it was like, wow, you go, girl. I'm remembering this. We're sitting in the car together, and she'd get a light in between the two seats.
Wow.
Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah.
Wow.
And at the time, I could be a little bit judgy about it because I'm like, wow. And looking back, it's like, God bless you. And she looked great. She didn't look fake. She just looked as good as she could look.
I love that.
I have some. I mean, I'm trying to bring the guys along and Bosch. I know, as far as they're concerned, I'm beautiful no matter what.
And you are.
But I'm not. You know what? Here's the deal. There, if you can say that the camera loves some people,
and they're not lighting for women because they're shooting almost
it's all men.
Right.
It's all men, except they'll bring in a high, except Maddie, who's a stunningly beautiful
and she's
18-year-old girl, right? And they started when she was 15, so and she truly is stunning.
Yes.
She's going to be a model. She's doing modeling too.
Yeah.
So, and then me, and I just there are faces. The camera can love people. The camera can also, therefore, hate people. Because my whole life, so it's not one, I can't blame one.
There.
No, it's just true. I'm not fishing. I would go down the street and people meet me in person and they're like, oh my God, you're so much prettier in person. I said, yeah, I know. The camera hates me. The camera hates me.
I feel like that too. That's why I'm back here.
It's true, and it's because it's different kind of faces. It's if you. Whereas I worked with a woman, she's the lead of a show, and on the show she is stunning, and in person she looked kind of like
really
weird. Yeah, okay, because a lot of models, you see them in person, it's about their their bone structure and everything. Their eyes are super deep. You put it on
But
camera
it's a little
and it's
scary
stunning.
in person.
But in person,
Yeah.
it doesn't all fit together so well.
I get that, and I've seen that, and I know what you're saying. Okay, so wrapping up because he's losing his mind.
He's losing his mind, and I can't listen to.
And
you know what he's doing?
And
He's
Amy's
so
just
smart.
Amy has now left the she's
I
left
no,
the
I'm
show.
coming back. I'm still
oh,
here. I'm
she's
still here.
She's coming
The
back.
puppy.
Jackson.
The puppy.
Okay, the puppy has to come in.
I just can't listen to one anymore.
Okay, so moving ahead. So you've got Bosch going on. If you had a dream come true, is there something ahead of you that you'd still love to do that you haven't had an opportunity to do? Is there anything?
I would love to have creative control over a comedy, and I haven't done a comedy on a regular basis for a while. I would love to do that. I've got one idea for a comedy, which I'm not going to say here because it's super good. And who knows, maybe I'll actually do it. I would also love to go back to Broadway and do, I did one show on Broadway, and it was,
what did you do?
I did the Heidi Chronicles, the original. I wasn't in the original cast, but we were the original production. That's where I met Tony Shalub, which is how I met my husband, because they met at Yale Drama School. He and I didn't overlap, but
How long have you been married?
I'm married 23 years. But we kept company for 2.5 years. But I met Tony there. And David Hyde Pierce was in our cast, which was amazing. David Headwall, it was amazing cast. And we worked with Wendy, and it was Wendy Wasserstein, the playwright. Why you do this? Why don't you just sit here and be very comfortable?
So if you could pick out a play that's already been produced, is there
I just did a production of Wendy's, because I also then did her last play, Third, at Lincoln Center, and that was extraordinary. And then just a couple months ago, basically, I did The Sisters Rosenzweig, which is her play that was on Broadway, and I had maybe seen it a long time ago, and I'm now exactly the right age to play the oldest sister, and I had the most phenomenal time. Betsy Brandt and Eleanor Risa and Bill Brocktrup and my boyfriend, my stage husband, Matthew Arkin, with whom I'd done a play last year, played his husband, his wife. And I just loved it, and it hasn't been done. It's been 25 years, and it hasn't been revived, and that would be my dream. That, and then so I'd also like to be on Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Oh,
I want to be on it so bad. I'm just putting it out here in a really pathetic way.
Okay, so my friend Michael Murata's in the 3rd episode, and he gets to dance with her. And so, Michael, your episode's coming up. Did it drop yet? I don't know. It didn't drop yet. No, it's dropping very soon.
No, it isn't.
Yeah.
No, it isn't. It's not dropping soon.
I thought it was dropping soon. Are you sure?
Have you seen 1,000,000 billboards saying that it's dropping soon? Here, you can look it up on here. I don't. Maybe.
I could have sworn. Okay, maybe not. Maybe. They were filming when I was in New York with my daughter.
How long ago was that?
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago.
That's what I'm saying.
It was in August.
Keep dreaming.
Keep
dreaming, babe.
Okay, all right.
Tony Shalub is one of our dearest friends. He introduced us. He was our best man. He's in the show. I could totally play his sister.
Yes, you
Mara
could.
Nickel is a dear friend. She plays her mother. I could totally play her sister. I have green eyes. You can't see them right now because I'm not wearing green. She has green. I could totally be that girl's aunt. And I could be the one who never did get married and who didn't play that role.
I like it.
And that's my Aunt Tess.
Okay, so putting it out there to the universe.
You never know
who's watching.
Amy Sherman-Palladino. She knows. She knows. I've been stalking her. I saw her at the Golden Globes party with Tony. I saw her at the Amazon Emmy party. And then Tony invited us to go to Paris when they were shooting in Paris. They shot the first 2 episodes in Paris.
Oh
what
God.
a shot job! And I'm sure she looked up and went, "Oh my God! Call the police! She's here again."
Oh, so you showed up in Paris?
Yes, on the set in Paris. Yes,
I love it.
I know. She just be lucky I didn't show up in the Catskills. Okay.
So Michael plays Mr. Fuckhauser. So he has he has a name like that with the word "fuck" in it. Yes, he does, and he dances with her.
Great.
Yeah, it's pretty wonderful. So, so Amy, thank you so much for doing this. And I'm gonna drag you to come and do Women Who Write. I'm gonna give you reasons why. You don't have to write. You don't.
And why is it called Women?
Because we're not all women and we don't all write, and it's just kind of the way it is. But it's people that want to be up close and personal with you, and they want to be able to ask you questions, and they want to be able to touch you and take pictures with you and love you and all that kind of stuff. People who are going to love your work.
Oh, okay. But it's called Women Who Write.
It's called, well, because that was just a thing at the time. But I mean, Tom Bergeron's done it. Like all kinds of people have done it who aren't women.
I'll do it.
Yeah,
I'd be happy to do it.
There we go.
I love hanging out with you.
I love her too. I love her so much. And if I didn't say it during the show, I said it in the promo. But what I really want to say to you is what I really appreciate about you. I was an actress a million years ago and studied that. And actors who I have no patience for actors that I see acting. Yeah. And I don't care how famous they are. I don't care how big they are. If I can see you acting, I'm out. Yeah. I have never caught you acting. I have never caught you acting, and I respect that so much, and I appreciate it so much.
Oh my God.
And just every character you play, you are there, you are it, you are not Amy. Like, I didn't even know you were Amy. Like, I met you many times at Phil's, and you were just always those people. Now you're Amy. But thank you for your work.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate it a lot.
That means a lot.
I do. Yes.
Oh my God.
So if you have, if you can get her on The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, do what you can. But in the meantime, you have to watch Bosch because she's brilliant.
Watch
Bosch. The show is phenomenal.
It's a pretty cool show.
It's a pretty show.
Amazing show.
And we're going to see you next week with director Henry Jaglom, because last time Henry was on the show, Facebook was going through a thing and it was all blurry, and this time he's going to be crystal clear. and also coming up is Jimmy Vivino from Jimmy Vivino has been the band leader on Conan from the day one.
Oh my God.
He's a phenomenal musician, and we go back to Bleecker Street a million years ago. And he's also the creator of the Fab Four, and if you haven't seen them, they are the definitive Beatles band with Will Lee. They're fabulous. And George Shapiro, who is George, who is behind the genius that is Jerry Seinfeld, is going to be with us.
Oh my God.
We have like amazing people, and Norman Lear said yes to me on Sunday. So we have like great, and Lynn Stewart's going to be here on the 7th. We have fabulous people coming up. We'll see you next week with Henry Jaglom on Game Changers.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christinna.
Thank you, Christinna.
You're welcome.
No thanks to that doll.